A few years ago, I started e-commerce with absolutely nothing, no connections, and absolutely no idea what I was doing. Let me show you something first. This is a live screenshot from one of my stores with over £1.9 million in sales. Now, I'm not showing you this to impress you. I'm showing you this to make one thing clear. What I'm going to share with you in this video actually works. So before we get into anything, you have to remember that you can scale any product. You just need to create enough pain for your customer through your advertising material and your website that you can actually sell. So in dropshipping, your job isn't to be right all the time. It's to find something that works, build on it really fast once you find it working, and scale it. You have to remember that there's one key rule. You have to cut your losses very fast. The number of times that you have to create a store might be greater than 5, 10, 15 attempts, but once you find your winner, you have to let it run, and you have to always ensure that you're keeping your losses to a minimum. So the first step in order to get to 0 to 10K in a month, what you're going to have to identify is finding a winning product. And this is going to take you 1 to 2 days minimum to find. So ideally, you're looking for a product that solves real pain and solves a massive problem. Also, you need to ensure that your product can be explained within 3 seconds so that someone who's viewing your advert for the very first time can be like, wow, okay, I need this product. And the amazing news is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You need to look for products that are already in the marketplace. They're already being tested and verified by other Shopify store owners. Once you can identify these stores, you then have the ability to recreate them yourself.
A few ways we're doing our product research is either using Facebook ad library or an AI tool like ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude. And finally, we like to use Kelodata. Kelodata is a research tool used to research for products that are sold on TikTok Shop. It's like a library storing all the necessary data you need. It shows some listing of trending products, the estimated sales, what shops sell it. You can find a lot of videos to download and reuse in your advertising material. Also, you can see the people that advertise it, some influencers. You can see the best video in each category, and you can also filter whatever information you need.
The whole point about using Kelodata at the start is to find what's already selling and then replicate your own store around some of this. And the easiest way at the very start to go from 0 to 10K in a month is to rip some videos off Kelodata. For dropshipping, when you're using Kelodata, you want to use something like this. You want to find your product and then check your competitors. You want to study viral videos and calculate some of the margins that they're selling for. Potentially you could order a sample, but for us, we don't even order a sample. We go straight to our private supplier, ensure that we have found the listing on AliExpress, make sure that he can send it from his fulfillment center in China, and then there we go. We've got our product already. And this is the quickest way we can start and scale our stores fast. It's really important to remember that Kelodata is great for market research, but the numbers are simply estimates. You don't want to treat the revenue that they're reporting as 100% accurate, but we like to use Kelodata to get our initial research done and then to understand exactly what's selling in the marketplace. So obviously we've just been through Kelodata, but here are some evergreen niches that are reliable with some built-in pain that we look for at the very start. So anything to do with physical pain and some sleep pain are 2 great starting points for your research. And then what we have to do when we're moving forward after we've done our product research is ultimately building a store. In our previous videos, we've gone over how to build a high converting product page. So I'll drop the link here and you can check out the video. It will also be tagged in the description. So the whole point of using something like Kelodata is to find products that are already verified. But the great thing is that we can take these videos from TikTok and reuse them ourselves on our first ad campaign. So when we want to go into our first ad campaign, we want to build it out very simply. And we want to start our campaigns. And within the first 1 to 5 days, we want to be very patient. We want to let Facebook find our appropriate audience. One thing to consider is that it's very important, like I said in the previous step, to ensure that you've got a high converting website. If you don't have a high converting website with a strong offer around your product, then you won't be able to sell. Now, you can see in the last week or two, we've been running some campaigns ourselves, and you can see the variance in the actual cost per purchase. Now, the cost per purchase is how much you're paying to Facebook for any one customer. As you can see here, we have some campaigns running at 13 euros a purchase. However, you can also see that we have campaigns running at £35 a purchase. The key right now is to make sure, and like I mentioned earlier, to let your winners run and to cut your losses fast. If something is super unprofitable, you want to kill it within 48 to 72 hours. But if it's profitable, you want to allow it to spend more and to spend over a higher time frame. If we can get sustainable purchases that are profitable, there's zero reason to turn them off. And most importantly, you want to make sure that you're studying why these adverts are working. Perhaps they're showcasing the product in a certain way. Some key tips that you have to remember that when you're running your first ad campaign, you want to remember that your adverts want to be problem focused, they could have a wow demonstration, and they want to show massive social proof. Once you've been running your ads for a long time, you want to assess which angle's working the best. And once you've seen which angles convert the most, you want to make new batches of this angle. Every campaign that you create, you want to have 4 adverts within this. And this is the way you can improve and iterate on your winning creative, angles, and your hook. You want to keep your ad account super simple at the start. 1 campaign, 1 ad set, and 3 to 5 creatives maximum, with no detailed targeting. You want to let Facebook find the appropriate customers. You want to make sure that you're warming up your pixel. You have to remember that Facebook takes time, and there's a feedback loop constantly from your pixel to your website and back to Facebook. And this is why results improve over time. The key at the very start is to have the ability to be able to withstand the volatility in the ad account. No product is going to take off from the very first 24 hours. And if you do, you're onto something very special. So, for example, you've been running your ads for 4, 5, 6 days. The real key now is to read your data efficiently. You want to make sure you understand a few key terms before you're starting. CTR, which is the click-through rate. Ultimately, is your ad interesting to the people viewing it? The CPC, which is the amount you pay per visitor onto your actual website. And this ultimately means, are you hooking people in? And the CPA, like I identified earlier, how much are you paying per customer on Facebook ads? And this is going to mean you either have a profitable store or an unprofitable store. There is no one healthy cost per purchase. However, you need to understand your product margins. If you're selling something for $40, it costs you $10 to get it sent, then you have $30 to play with. That means anything under 30 USD is going to be a profitable purchase. But if you're getting cost per acquisitions over 30 USD, then you're going to be net unprofitable. So what you want to do, you want to kill your bad creatives very fast. Like I said, the key in dropshipping is to cut losers fast, but let your winners run. And then you want to scale your winners slowly, plus 20% over every 3 days if your ROAS is over 2.0. And you want to replenish and replace your losing creatives fast. What I mean by this is that if you have an unprofitable campaign, maybe you've lost 40 USD in a day, you want to cut that loss, but then test a different angle, and ideally an angle that's worked on a different ad set or campaign that you're running. And once you find enough winning creatives, and winning creatives I mean 2.0 ROAS or higher, you can then increase your budget. And the goal is to obviously spend more so that you can acquire more new customers. So once you've been running your ads for 7 to 14 days, you're going to have a very clear understanding of if you've got a profitable store or unprofitable store. And if it's profitable, you want to make sure you're constantly improving everything. You want to be creating new adverts every 2 to 3 days, but you also want to be keeping a close eye on your ads to make sure they remain profitable. Once you're profitable, the goal is to ultimately get more customers through the door. And that's how we're going to be able to scale. So in the last few weeks, we've been running this new store, and as you can see, it's done 23,000. But there's a way we do this. So once something is working, like I mentioned earlier, you want to scale your budget 20% every 3 days. But it's very important to remember that you have to do this only if your ROAS is above 2. If it's below 2, then you're running on thin margins and you have to be very careful. At the very start of your store, you're going to have to rely on 1 or 2 creatives doing all the work. But very quickly, the goal is to get multiple creatives working and to create your funnel. And you're going to do this only through increasing and testing new ads. You never want to rely on one advert, because if you rely on one advert, then your store is going to die very quickly, which is why it's so important to constantly be testing in test campaigns and new marketing angles and trying to identify new pockets of different audiences that are available to purchase. So after 2 weeks of running your store, then you're going to have to do a couple of things to make sure you have the ability to be sustainable and scale longer term. And you're going to want to introduce some upsells, and you're going to have to do everything you can to increase your average order value. If you can increase your average order value, then you have the ability to in fact spend more on your new first time purchases on Facebook. So like I mentioned earlier, if your cost per acquisition is anywhere from 30 or below, then you're profitable. But what happens if you increase your average order value from 40 to 50 USD? That means you have another 10 USD to spend per customer. And we understand that Facebook is a bidding and auction system. If you understand this, you have the ability to outcompete the competition on your stores. Some things that I'd avoid if you're starting out from the very beginning. You really want to avoid over branding too early. Now I mentioned it's so important to have an elite product page, but I wouldn't be going and purchasing hundreds of units of stock with custom label and custom logos on these. And you're just creating a bigger headache for you if you don't get sales on your store. You want to avoid overcomplicated funnels at the very start. You really just want to have 4 to 8 ads on your 1 or 2 campaigns at the beginning and run them straight to a high converting product page. When you're starting out, you want to avoid having too much complications with your pixel. If you're testing 20 different products on 1 pixel and 1 store, then Facebook is never going to understand who your real customer is. It's so much more important that you focus 1 product, 1 pixel, and 1 store. And you want to build your core audience and core advertising material around this 1 product so that you can create and compound quicker.
And this is exactly the method that we follow to get our stores from 0 to 10K a month. If you found any value today and want to see more about ecom, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.